And one of the legal experts working on the push for Golan recognition is Eugene Kontorovich. Kontorovich is a professor of law at George Mason University and the author of the Kohelet Policy Forum. Eugene, thanks for being back on the show with us. Eugene, from an international law perspective, what is the legal case for the Golan Heights to be recognized as rightfully part of Israel?
Israel was attacked by Syria in 1967. Syria and Egypt together launched a war of aggression against Israel, and Israel captured the territory in a defensive war. While international law does not allow countries to go out and conquer territory in offensive wars, when countries are playing defense and are themselves attacked, international law does not forbid countries to keep territory that they acquire from the aggressor. Indeed, if countries are not allowed to keep territory that they take control of in a defensive war, there is in effect no deterrent and no sanction to international aggressors. It would be a license for aggression.
So it seems as though the international law is pretty clear on this. Why is this an issue that's questioned then?
Well, international law, unfortunately, is rarely totally clear on many issues. There are actually almost no examples of defensive conquest outside of this one. And because there are so few examples, it's easy for people to make up the international law any way they want. Israel's control, on the other hand, of the Golan Heights has lasted longer than Syria's. And there is a strong desire by some not to legitimate any of Israel's territorial gains in the Six-Day War.
The shift, though, that we're seeing in language from the Trump administration, calling the Golan Heights Israeli-controlled, how significant do you think that is?
So the recent human rights report by the State Department dropped the language of occupation, not just from the Golan Heights, but also from the West Bank. And that's an extremely significant development, because while it doesn't mean by itself that the U.S. has changed its understanding of the status of these territories, simply changing the tone, changing the language, is very important for reframing the debate. When America talks about Northern Cyprus, when it talks about Western Sahara, it doesn't use the language of occupation. It just says these are areas under the control of the respective countries. And getting rid of that word, I think, opens up room for a real honest and productive debate about what should be the future of these territories.
All right, but even if this bill goes through and the U.S. does recognize the Golan Heights as being a part of Israel, as Israel having sovereignty over it, it doesn't necessarily mean that other countries will follow suit, or does it?
That's what people said about moving the embassy to Jerusalem. And indeed, we see that it has catalyzed other countries to move their embassies, to change their discussion of Jerusalem.
Right.
Just today, Hungary opened a diplomatic presence in Jerusalem, the first European country to do so. And it's almost certain that, again, America would be the leader of the world and would catalyze countries to recognize what everyone already knows is true. But what's very important, Michelle, is that the recognition not be simply of Israeli control of the area. Some people want to say that it would be enough for America to recognize Israeli control. But control, that's not really saying anything. Control is just a fact. It's crucial that America go further and recognize Israel's legitimate sovereign claim, that Israel's not just there temporarily, that Israel's there to stay forever.
Let's focus on the strategic importance of the Golan Heights from a military perspective. How vulnerable would it make Israel if somehow Syria did regain control of the Golan Heights?
It would leave Israel entirely exposed to the murderous Assad regime and, worse, its Iranian sponsors. The Golan Heights overlooks all of Israel. It is the absolute high ground. But even leaving the question of the Golan Heights' status undetermined, many people say that there's no need to recognize Israeli control because Assad could not practically take control of the area. But many people 6 years ago were saying Assad could not practically retake control of Syria itself. He has a way of surprising people. More importantly, the Iranian backers of the Assad regime will see international ambiguity about Israel's rights to the Golan as an open invitation, if not to attempt to retake it, to launch attacks from Lebanon, to use Hezbollah as a proxy, using the Golan Heights as justification.
Eugene, thank you so much for that breakdown. Eugene Kontorovich, appreciate it.